great way to get inspired and to get back to the joy of creating art again is to paint in a different style. Gustav Klimt is an artist that has always inspired me. Springtime makes me think of his beautiful, shapely, floral art, the vibrant colors, the golds and the circles, and I applied that to a commission of being. Hi creatives, my name is Lauren Elizabeth with Lauren Elizabeth Animal Art. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a pet and wildlife independent artist and a certified art therapy practitioner. So in today's art therapy based tutorial, I'll not only show you how to create this Gustav inspired floral background with lots of color, but also how to paint a more realistic style black cat using all different values of gray. All right, creatives, let's get started. All right, so if you'd like me to turn this into a real-time, step-by-step tutorial, comment down below and let me know. So for this Gustav Klimt inspired background, I started with a very deep turquoise, but a little bit more green than blue. I added just one layer for now, and actually wasn't trying to make it perfectly blended. I wanted to leave some thinner areas, and that would help me with the next layer where I was applying the grass. So while that layer was still damp, I pulled in some yellow mixed with sky blue into this turquoise. By the way, this technique was so much fun. This background I will definitely repeat. But with my size 10 Arteza angle brush, I left both boxy, thick brushstrokes and used the fine edge of this brush to create thinner, long grass. Then with my cat's tongue brush by Arteza, the size 8, I actually added to that dark turquoise that I started with raw umber. So now I'm working on the negative space, cutting into the grass, but also leaving some shapes and some cool designs from the original turquoise layer. Now for the third layer, I went a little lighter into that previous light turquoise, using my size 1 Arteza round brush to create thinner, vertical, but still relatively spontaneous line texture for that grass. So I pulled from a mixture from that light turquoise that was more blue, more sky blue, and then another one with more yellow in it. From there, I progressed to adding leaves. Leaves that definitely resembled leaves, and then other shapes that implied that there might be leaves here in the background. Adding more of my color confetti with those dabs, those square-shaped brush strokes that aren't perfectly blended, lines that are not perfectly vertical either, they're kind of off to the left or the right. So I let that layer completely dry. I cleaned my water, washed my brushes, and I mixed up a vibrant vermilion and a beautiful, more blue indigo. By the way, I use Master's Touch paint. I have that in my supplies list down below in the description. But over top that green and blue layer, I add dabs. Now I start with more of a medium value purple. Almost kind of resembles lupin flowers, the way I kind of added them in a row. Then for the poppies, I'm not making a perfect circle around that center. I'm adding dabs. I'm pushing on my brush so that some areas are thicker, some areas are a bit thinner. You can see I left some texture, but didn't work on the centers just yet. Then for more daisy looking flowers on the right side, just to add some contrast, I went with the gray. That beautiful light gray pops so nicely over top the dark turquoise. And then I did another layer, bringing up some of that tall grass behind the flowers with the yellow greens and the blue greens. Now, I add a lot of layers to this background to make the bright colors bright and the darker colors dark. And we just needed more lightness in here, which is why I added in the upper left corner, light yellow flowers. And I cannot stress this enough, although this is fantastic paint by Master's Touch, it really has to do with the amount of layers. If you want to get those bright, beautiful, rich, vibrant oranges and yellows and greens, you have to be willing to reapply that paint. Reapply layers, let it dry, then add another layer. You can work on another part of the painting and then go back to those poppies and the other flowers. Hi creatives, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about a bold, bright, hope-filled collection I've been working on for the hurting, healing, and heartbroken. In a dark, fast-paced, overwhelmed world, we can lose sight of tending to our inner world, and my art is a visual reminder that healing is possible from the inside out, especially when we slow down, enjoy nature, and create through the storms of life. So I use colorful cats, dogs, birds, insects, and lots of flowers to plant seeds of hope. That's why it's called Transformed by Hope Collection. I'll have prints available too. If you'd like to be the first to see it and get this free tutorial, check out the link down below to be a newsletter subscriber. Now, for my next step, while I let the background paint dry, I do go back and add layers later. I really wanted to make these eyes a focal point, but I wasn't quite sure how abstract or realistic I was going to make the colors in these eyes, so I worked on the fur and the areas around the eyes first. Now, my next thought process as far as the fur goes, normally I like to go with violets and blues, sometimes greens in black animal or dark brown animal fur. I went with gray values this time because I wanted to create color harmony where I didn't have all the different colors of the rainbow all over the canvas, but having there be lots of color in the background and then lots of color in those eyes. Because what I'm doing is helping to guide the viewer's eyes to the background and to the eyes, that focal point. But on that note, if you'd like to see how to abstract black fur, adding blues and violets, even pinks to it, I have a free Tuxedo cat tutorial linked in the description. But now I'm mixing up a medium gray. On cats, especially short or medium length fur like this, you'll have a little bit of exposed skin right above the eyes. In fact, it's not very long, the fur around the nose, around the eyes. And so I added a base layer of medium gray. I let that dry, and now I'm working below the eye, but not just with medium gray, it's also with some pink. I just can't resist adding pinks to my animals. Even if I'm making them more realistic, I'm adding fluorescent pink to medium gray. So surrounding the bottom of the eye, and soon you'll see above the eye, I'll add this gray pink. Now there's two other reasons why I added pink around these areas is because they're thin, they're exposed skin. Oftentimes skin has a little hint of reds and even some browns in there too. The second reason is because I knew I'd add a bit of green, not sure how much green, to those cat eyes. And if you need a little refresher, green up against reds or even pinks is a beautiful combination, complementary colors. So now I'm working on those real darks up against the real lights. When you have this on all black cats, I recommend you go apply the darkest value, then the lightest value, and then apply the medium values to join them. When you have these real extremes in black cat fur, you often see it being like a light gray up against almost black. I recommend doing kind of the opposite of what I usually say, which is going dark, medium, and light. Actually go on your real darks, then jump to your real lights, then join them with lined fur texture with your medium values. So now you're seeing how I'm joining the fur over top that exposed skin above the eyes with more dark and medium value lines. So we needed to have a base layer. Then I'm going over with medium value lines. All this is using different values of gray. I'm not using any pinks here. I'm not using browns, just all different values of gray. And making sure that the lines that I'm applying over top the white and over top some of these gray pinks are going in the proper direction. Up and to the left above the left eye, up and to the right above the right eye. But now I can't go up much higher. I need to have a base before I add fur texture at the base of both ears. Okay, that's why I jumped to mixing up a brown, just like we can sometimes see pinks and exposed skin where there's not much fur. Inside the ear is another one of those areas, and sometimes browns and pinks. So that's what I did. I mixed up my brown, bit of fluorescent pink, into the grays. I wanted to be consistent with that loose kind of textured look like the background. And so I didn't blend this out perfectly. I leave it kind of choppy. So then I join the dark grays from within both ears to the front of the face. And before I bring up that fur texture around the face over top the bottom of the ears, I want to make sure I cover up more white on the forehead and around the muzzle. As best you can, don't focus too much on detail, just try to cover up the white, keep that momentum up, and then start perfecting it and adding those main details. Now, the other reason I chose this reference photo from the client is because of how incredible the highlights are around that nose. So the focal points are definitely those eyes, but the highlights around the lips and the nose draw attention to those eyes even more, draws the eyes up. And it can be hard, very challenging to try and find the right black cat photos. It's either too black and you only see their eyes, or it's too light and they just look like a gray cat. So next I'm going to cover 3 things that you want to look for to help you choose the ideal black cat or black dog reference photos. Because us artists, we all know that the better the reference photo, the better the painting. It really helps. And so what I recommend is having the black cat by a window, by non-direct natural lighting. So not a picture of a black cat outside, not a picture of a black cat inside with no lighting, but facing or right next to natural light. Secondly, you want to look for those distinct values. So real dark black, where it's like a dark gray or almost looking black areas on the cat, and then real light areas, lines, circles, shaped values that are the light values of light gray. You want both in this photo. So you don't want one or the other, all light or all black. You want both. And sometimes that might mean going in and adjusting the photo, upping the contrast, lowering or upping the exposure. And lastly, because we're working with an all black cat, it's gonna just naturally draw attention to those eyes. I highly recommend you have either a zoomed in photo of the face of that cat or really have a clear image of both eyes. Yes, maybe one eye from like a profile view, but it gives you more to work with. When you don't have a lot to work with in color, you can add in the eyes. Now, before moving on to the body or finishing up the top of the head, I needed to add another layer to the background with color, especially more oranges and vermilions to those poppies. You can see how this lighter layer really stands out. Oh, it just looks so beautiful. The more layers, the better, I tell you. Now, when it comes to close-up black cat photos, the hardest part is the face. After that, it's easy peasy. I used a larger brush. This is my angle brush to paint in the body, which is just majority medium and dark value grays, a few light values, but not much, covering up the surface area, not really focusing too much on texture. It might be different if you're working with a long-haired black cat. That might be very different. And also the view of the pet. I'm only seeing just a little bit of the body. You might be painting a full body black cat, so it's going to be a little different than this. But in this case, with my angle brush, I'm making sure that those medium values are more on the outer edge of the cat, and my brush strokes are a little bit more dab-like, moving more horizontally, as opposed to lines and more vertically, like we're doing on the face. Now, working on the eyes was probably my second favorite part. I mixed up a lime green with cadmium yellow, a little bit of grass green, and sky blue. Applied that, but not all the way touching the pupil or the outer edge of the inside of the eye. But before I filled in that white gap, I made sure while that lime green was still damp, I blended in a shadow. We're almost always going to see a shadow on the iris and over top the pupil from the top of the eye. Now, using a light yellow, I filled in that outer ring within the eye. And then directly surrounding the pupil, I drew out those turquoise colors that I see, those blues that I slightly see in the reference. I made them even more blue with sky blue and white and painted that in around the pupil, but not over top the shadows that we just painted above there. Then with a clean damp brush, I blended all those values together, blended the blue in with the green with the yellow. I even pulled in some oranges in that eye too. So we have 4 colors within these eyes. Then to give them even more dimension over top the inside of the eye, but around the border of it, I created a very, very thin shadow using complementary color red and green. I also used this very thin shadow on the inner right of the left eye and the inner left area of the right eye to round out the eye, making them less almond shaped. Even though they are almond shaped, I made them a bit more round. All right, so here's my last and final layer over top the background, just to really show you what I mean by the amount of layers that I've added. Then I let that dry and I can finally add those hairs around the outside border of the cat. And then now we can also really refine the hairs on the face and body. Not so much the body, but definitely on the face. So at this point, we have all the white of the canvas covered up. That's the point where we can start fine-tuning, tightening things up, adding the line texture. So it's a more flat layer, a little bit more blended with some texture on the first 1, 2, 3 layers. And now we go on with a liner brush or a rigger brush, and we add joiner values, like more medium values that help join the extreme darks with the extreme lights. I talk a lot about those joiner values that give the other ones a hug to connect them. That's what I'm doing a lot in this step. I'm also darkening up the dark values, adding a bit more black to those grays. Now that may also mean that I have to lighten up the light values, but we want to be careful about that. We don't want to make this cat look like a gray cat. So just be careful how much white you're adding to those light grays. You must be patient with this phase. You're testing out lines still. Maybe it fits here, maybe I should darken up here, maybe I should reshape this value. It's still a test. That's why I think artists really struggle at this point, not knowing when it's done, not knowing where to adjust the layers. I just think if you focus on making the dark values dark, joining the dark values with the light values using that in-between value, the medium value, using line texture, going the right direction, and then getting those light values in but not too light, and just knowing that the more rounds of dark, medium, and light values you add, the more three-dimensional it looks. Now I have a few more layers to add to that face, but I'm working on the inner ear hairs using a light gray and adding whiskers. Now sometimes black cats will have black whiskers, so in that case, instead of just using black over black, I recommend like a dark gray or a medium value gray. And the nice thing about that is it's very simple to clean up those whiskers if you get them too thick or you make them a little wonky. Right now, we're not having to worry about spots or markings or curly fur, very long fur. In this case, it's just dark gray, and you can easily, along that whisker, go in with the dark gray to thin out those whiskers, or paint over it and try again. And last but not least, what comes with those finishing details are those final eye highlights. Sometimes I'll add this when I'm working on the eyes, sometimes I'll leave it to the end. But doesn't that just bring this portrait to life? My tip here isn't only adding highlights within the eye, like little dots or dabs. Sometimes that's all you need, but for the most part, to give it that dimension, you curve the highlights and even add some little highlights of light gray on the bottom of the eyelids on both eyes, especially in towards the area by the bridge of the nose on both eyes. All right, creatives, I really hope this helped you. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe if this helped you. Let me know if you have any requests for the next upcoming tutorials. Bye.